Welcome back. It's the Dazn Boxing Show. I go by the name of Akin.
And I'm Barak, the boxing bully.
Listen, today we're not going to be talking about no fights that happened, but we will be talking about a fighter, Samiso Buthelezi, that lost his life from in-ring injuries, unfortunately. For those that don't know, last week or haven't seen this footage, it was disturbing footage of a fighter after the referee asked him to fight again. He actually went to a neutral corner where there was nobody that's swinging punches. It looked very scary. He hadn't been dropped. We didn't see him getting hit with any major punches, but I guess throughout that 4-round fight, he suffered some brain injury, fell into a coma, and later on passed away. These are the dangers of this sport that we love so much, and these fighters risk their lives every time in the ring. You know, oftentimes, Barak, we talk about big fights, big punchers, heavyweights, skilled fighters and all that, but it can happen at any level. This guy is, he just started fighting, only a few fights, a 4-round fight, and this happened to him. So it furthermore, proves my point about how much respect we have to have for fighters in general, anybody stepping in that square circle.
The young man was 24 years old. He was only a few years into his career. He started in 2019 his professional career. I have no idea about his amateur career, being that he's from South Africa. There's no data on it, so maybe he didn't even have an amateur career. He looked to be the aggressor in the fight. There's only a little bit of footage that's out there. It was the last round. It was the 10th round, and he was the aggressor, pushing his opponent forward. It does look like he was clipped with a little hook before his opponent went down. His opponent didn't go down from a punch. His opponent just got pushed down. Maybe the ropes were a little too loose. You know, that's the ref's job to make sure the ropes are tight. So maybe the ropes were a little bit too loose, and his opponent fell down. Now, upon him getting up, it looked like Samiso went to the referee and then went towards the corner. And I understand that in this particular game, it's called a hurt game. You get a concussion. Maybe it's possible to get a concussion every fight. And then in this game, you can get hit, knocked down, get a concussion, get back up, and continue to fight with that concussion. That's how dangerous this sport is. That's why,
in some cases, more than one concussion in a fight.
Right, and that's why they say that this is even more dangerous than the UFC. You know what I mean? Usually, if you get dropped like that in the UFC, and if a ref has to count you, that's it. They're stopping the fight. But then you could see Tyson Fury blank out for a good 4 or 5 seconds and then get a chance to get back up. And that's how dangerous this sport is. So, we want to send our thoughts and our prayers to his family, but we also want this new ethic. I believe this new ethic that's in boxing to continue. I mean, I've seen referees, when the corner wants to stop the fight, throw the towel in, referee catch it and throw it back and say, no.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about that gentleman.
No, I'm not even talking about in the UK recently because of that body shot. I'm talking about years ago before that even, right. And hopefully those times never come back. Yes, we'll never see the Castillo, Diego Corrales again, but that's okay.
Well, Barak, even this past weekend, let's point this out, our friend Josue Wagner suffered another loss, a knockout loss, but even in that fight, I don't personally think that the referee handled it properly. Josue was not conscious at that point. He did not really, his legs were not underneath him, and he let him go back out there and get hit with other shots, with a guy that was swinging haymakers. That was the time to stop it from the initial knockdown when he almost fell out of the ring. It was clear to everybody in that arena that he should not continue. He should not have been put back out there to fight again. Those are the type of mistakes that should never happen in a ring. And Barak, I know that you study refereeing with our guy Jack Reyes, and I know it's a difficult job, but it's a job where people's lives are on the line and in your hands, so to speak, to some degree. So you cannot make mistakes in that ring, at least when it comes to something that's obvious. That was obvious that Josue should have not been sent back out to fight, and it, God willing, God forbid, he's okay after this, but it would be on that ref's hand if it was something else.
100%. I don't believe that Josue was on steady legs when he arose during that 8 count, and I think the referee was trying to like give him a chance, but it just wasn't healthy. You know, I mean, literally everybody from every corner jumped up on that ring. Every doctor, his corner, everybody jumped in that ring to try and signal to the ref, what are you doing? This is going on too long. I think you get a certain amount of brain cells. And once you're an adult, that's it. You don't regenerate new brain cells. And therefore, when you're getting these concussions and you're losing these brain cells from the damage of years and years of fighting, you become a different person. I've heard Timothy Bradley say, every time in that ring, I come out a little bit different. You know, and that's the thing. That's the scary part about this hurt business. And that's the risk that every fighter is taking when he steps in that ring.
Yeah, unfortunately, we lost Samiso Buthelezi, Barak, but there are a lot of fighters that don't lose their lives, but to your point, they lose a lot of themselves. Legends that we've witnessed, we've had conversations, and I won't put names out there, but guys that years ago, they were sharp, well-spoken, and they're not the same. So it's a long-lasting effect, this sport. It's very brutal, very dangerous. So I think the ethic has changed, but there's still referees out there that are making mistakes that should never happen.
And that was part of Floyd Mayweather's speech at the International Hall of Fame over the weekend. You know, that, you know, people criticized him for wanting to be somebody who was defensive. But he watched his uncle die. He watched his uncle lose his mind, literally, you know, and forget who he was at times, you know, and that was a scary thing for him. And his father always told him, in this game, in order to last, you got to hit and not get hit. And that's just the brutal truth, you know. And even Floyd said, hey, I got out of the game with all my faculties, but I also seen him in an interview say, I'm not actually the same. I think I'm losing it a little bit. I lost a little step. And he's talking about mentally.
Yeah.
And that's hard for somebody to grasp or to accept, you know, in their adulthood. And this is just a scary game.
We just have to put, you know, all things in perspective when it comes to this sport that we love so much. And the fans, the hardcore fans, the casual fans, they all need to have an understanding of how dangerous the sport is. So when those fights happen, when you see a guy getting pummeled, you yourself, you know, want the fight to be stopped. I mean, we like to see the violence in a ring, but to a certain degree. Let's be conscious of all of that. Again, condolences to Buthelezi's family and friends. Sad to see somebody die because of injuries inside of a boxing ring.